Hello and welcome to a 1v1 on Minsk Pocket between RunToTheSun and Natural. RunToTheSun is indeed the rank 1 Oberkommando West player. I think his streak right now is higher than 40. So he is definitely very skilled with this faction, and because this patch kind of favors this faction, he's definitely extremely difficult to beat. And I think his streak pretty much proves that. His opponent, Natural, will be playing Soviets, starting with a special rifle command, no tech faking. He probably should be tech faking, but that being said, I'm not sure it's really necessary, but it is something to consider. RunToTheSun is definitely good enough to know how to scan the fog of war to see what he's going to be up against, so he does know that he needs to prepare potentially for a flame car, potentially for snipers, and so on. And if we take a look at RunToTheSun's build, we will see double Volksgrenadiers being produced. And I think tech faking was more important before, when Stern Pioneers were actually really effective against the M3. No, wait, what?
Enemy is alerted to our presence.
I don't, I'm not sure I know what he's talking about, but anyway. Anyway, Volksgrenadiers moving up over here on the left. Stern Pioneers moving up here towards these conscripts. Conscripts going to take up a position in some cover. We do also have Common Engineers over here. And we will see a second squad of conscripts. Kind of strange to see Natural going with 2 squads of conscripts straight into... Maybe not that strange. Straight into scout car. So, see if he's able to make good use of that. We also have Combat Engineers circling around down here towards the center victory point. And conscripts are going to be engaging at medium range. These Volksgrenadiers, conscripts are actually much better at medium range than they used to, not necessarily that great at short range by comparison anymore, giving them, I think, quite a decisive advantage against Stern Pioneers in the right situations. Scout car moving up, trying to do some damage to RunToTheSun's infantry. Meanwhile, Combat Engineers actually encounter the SWS supply half-track. Supply half-track is failing to push them off the point, and they will be able to get a decap, which means that RunToTheSun will not be able to construct his tech here, at least not until he gets it recaptured. So that will possibly delay RunToTheSun by just a little bit. He's probably going to be waiting until he has 200 manpower here, so I think that will set him back by just a hair. RunToTheSun actually really struggling for map control now. The scout car is doing a nice job, doing a very nice job of pressuring RunToTheSun, keeping him busy, not allowing him to spread out and cap. Definitely has superior map control, but that being said, he really needs to dedicate at least 1 squad to retaking that fuel and get his fuel taking up. If we take a look at doctrine availability, we'll see RunToTheSun has Scavenge, Breakthrough, and Luftwaffe. I would probably expect a Breakthrough on this map, but we'll see what happens. Natural, on the other hand, has Mechanized Support, Urban Defense, and Shock Rifle, so I think we'll definitely see Shock Rifle here. Or actually, no, Mechanized Support also definitely a possibility. Kuba Wagon hitting the field.
at our disposal.
Facing off against the M3 a little bit. M3 definitely getting a little heavily damaged. I think he was a little too courageous there, and he probably should have pulled back earlier. That squad desperately needs to retreat. Very late retreat there. Natural being a little slow to pull his units back. A little slow to pull his units back when they're getting too low to continue fighting. We have more conscripts being produced, so no penals being used. Just so far, just a scout car, I believe, produced from tier 1. So he's investing rather heavily into conscripts, and no upgrades for his conscripts yet. AT grenades might be helpful against the Kuba wagon, but that's a bit of a fuel investment, I think.
Conscripts have arrived.
And, geez, Natural is definitely giving up a little bit prematurely here. The game is definitely not even close to decided. Definitely not even close. He hasn't even picked a doctrine yet. RunToTheSun being a good sport as usual, though. He's actually a very nice guy.
This now belongs to the people and
Battle group headquarters will be going up. Run to the Sun still also hasn't chosen a doctrine. This mentality, I have to say, is very dangerous. It's very easy to underestimate your own position. You might think that you've completely lost, but Company of Heroes is based on comebacks, and even the Allies can make comebacks. Even the United States forces can make comebacks. Even in this patch, the United States forces can make comebacks. That's what the teching system is all about, fielding a heavier, stronger unit that can pretty much, by itself, push your opponent completely off the field. Obviously, Natural is quite far from being able to get one of these units.
Conscripts can now throw Molotovs.
But in this situation, he's doing exactly what he should, which is spreading himself out over the map and trying to take what he can without necessarily engaging his opponent where he's going to be very strong, in particular here at this battle group headquarters. We do have an engagement over here on the right, and some Folks Grenadiers will be forced away. Combat Engineers taking the strategic point, and conscripts moving up on the victory point. We also have conscripts grabbing some territory over here on the left. Pretty much unopposed, Run to the Sun taking his time here in the middle to reinforce and repair.
The hard part will be keeping it. Shock troops have arrived. It is now under our control.
I think it's plausible that the StarCraft 2 mentality may be that if you make one critical mistake, the game is over and you've lost. And in Company of Heroes 2, I don't think that that's true. It's really not true at all. And there's lots of wriggle room. Especially as Soviets, I think. Probably more so than any other faction. So just don't give up. You really need to stick it out. Mines going down over here. Good play. We also have conscripts continuing to harass on the right, unopposed. But Run to the Sun is making a pretty significant push over here for the left side. Strategic point getting taken. Kugel wagon moving up. Suppressing these conscripts. Unfortunately, they were a little bit tightly clumped. This flank is going to be screened pretty heavily by this force, but fortunately, Natural is bringing shock troops up. Molotov also going out. Counter grenade inflicts 3 casualties. Grenade going out on a Kuba wagon. That's a waste. Don't do that. That is a mistake, always. Unless it's like got an engine damage and like not moving and almost dead. But an AT grenade is definitely a much better choice against the Kuba wagon. I mean, you don't really accomplish anything by throwing a grenade at it if it's not going to destroy it. And you can probably dodge a grenade with a Kuba wagon about as easily as you can with infantry, but the fact of the matter is it's just not necessary. He needs to retreat from this engagement. He's definitely already lost it. He doesn't have any other supporting squads in range. He has nothing to gain by staying here. Well, that full squad got wiped. If he doesn't retreat this one just about immediately, I don't think it'll make it home. I think it's dead now. He's trying to move over here to get a more beneficial retreat path using Ura, actually. And I think Run to the Sun made a bit of a mistake by trying to chase around the back, but he does have Folks Grenadiers up here to follow up. I'm not sure. Folks Grenadiers are terrible at killing retreating squads. And the conscripts will get away. I think that Ura probably saved him combined with Run to the Sun.
We are ready to go, comrades. Your orders, comrade.
Not properly microwing his Kuba wagon in that engagement, but it's just a conscript squad, so it's not the end of the world. Second squad of shock troops moving up here through the middle. We also have conscripts moving down to harass. That could be 2 kills. Yep. And we do have conscripts not going to go follow up on that, instead going to continue capping. The Folks Grenadiers are actually going to move back and reinforce rather than continue through this area, and that's only 1 mine planted. But Run to the Sun is just naturally assuming that there must be mines littered all over the place, and so instead of continuing to walk through them, he walks back to reinforce. So that's something to note, that even 1 mine, despite only inflicting 2 kills, still has a psychological effect on your opponent. It will make them a lot less aggressive. Is there no music? I don't think there's no music. Yeah, there's music. What? Huh, okay, never mind. Folks Grenadiers continue moving up. Shoe mine goes off on these shock troops over here. Kuba wagon does encounter the shock troops. They will definitely lose that engagement. He's forced to retreat. It looks like Natural spreading himself a little thin, trying to go for map control rather than winning engagements. And since he is kind of on the back foot, that sort of makes sense, but at the same time, his shock troops are extremely difficult for RunToTheSun to deal with. Molotov and grenade get exchanged. The Molotov is nicely dodged. Unfortunately, the grenade is not, and the conscripts are forced to make a retreat.
The enemy has taken our supply sector.
These conscripts probably should retreat since it doesn't look like there are any supporting units in range. Except for this shock troop squad, but there's not really much room for him to flank here. We may see a smoke grenade. No. Conscripts are just going to make a quick retreat. Kuba wagon being forced to reposition once again. Standard grenade being thrown. That was a terrible grenade. I don't even know what that was aimed at. Conscripts also moving down through here on the right. Inflicting nice casualties on those Folks Grenadiers. Yet another grenade being... Oh, that was a smoke grenade. I think that was not really necessary. The armor and veterancy on those shock troops, they definitely would have escaped just fine. And a lot of Company of Heroes is about making judgment calls on whether or not you're going to be able to win an engagement. For example, in this situation, I think his conscripts might win. They do have superior cover, and if those Folks Grenadiers charge into close range, they'll probably die. Those Folks Grenadiers would be able to win this engagement by throwing a grenade. Of course, bringing up another unit to support is much more efficient, and that will force those conscripts away. Panzerschreck manages to snipe one of the conscripts at like max range, so that's stupid, but it happens. It's part of the game. One conscript down. I think RunToTheSun could wipe the squad if he decides to chase, but he's going to opt to move himself back towards the center here. Grenade did go off on that Stern Pioneer squad, wiping 3 out of 4, but we do have Obersoldaten on the field as well. If we take a look, it looks like Natural is spamming move orders, which is very bad to do on assault infantry. If you right-click very rapidly, especially in different locations, like moving them in a line very rapidly, which is a habit that sometimes you might establish, for whatever reason, in Company of Heroes, the squad will begin to spread out, and that's something you can take advantage of in the early game using a technique called cap walking. But when you're in an engagement with assault infantry, it's very important to keep the squad close together, not spread out into a single file line. And that behavior was actually introduced by the most recent patch. It has not always been like that. So it's very important to just give a single move order to your assault infantry, and they will stay in a much tighter formation and deal much more efficient damage. Mine getting detonated somewhere. Not sure what happened actually. What was that? Is it a trip flare? I guess that was a trip flare going down. And conscripts are being forced away by a quick looks, which has 4 kills now. Natural continuing to be forced off the field. He's really struggling, mostly against this Kuba wagon, and I think, especially in this situation, he easily could have just oorah'd straight toward it and thrown an AT grenade at it. Oorah plus AT grenade is pretty much a dead Kuba wagon. The Soviets actually have lots of tools for dealing with the Kuba wagon. I think he's had ample opportunities to kill it, but unfortunately he hasn't capitalized on them at all. And I think part of that is his extremely low amount of munitions, because he's constantly utilizing grenades and smoke grenades and such, which, when in situations where it doesn't necessarily turn the tide of the engagement, and we'll actually see the surrender from Natural. He's going to give the game to RunToTheSun, so certainly well played by RunToTheSun. And I think Natural did not play poorly by any means, but he certainly made a few mistakes here and there, and up against a player like RunToTheSun, that is not something you can really afford to do. Overall, I think it was a pretty good game, though, and I hope you enjoyed watching it. It was a pretty short one. And if you did, you can always send me a message asking me to cast a game of yours, and I'd be happy to do so. Otherwise, I hope you enjoyed the video, and thank you for watching.